it is important for people to go to the Fringe because, I mean, supporting independent artists is everything. Right now, it's literally everything. Everyone who's doing this festival is putting their own money into it, has been working on it for months. There are people here that have had these shows, you know, they've been developing them for years. People are working their asses off, and there's some really, really great stuff happening. There's also a lot of queer art being made this year, in particular at Asylum, a lot of queer playwrights and performers, which rocks. A lot of amazing art by POC artists. And again, independent POC artists, independent queer artists. Like, you know, every year we get like a handful of big budget projects that are like, you know, really rocking about the queer experience or about the Black experience or about like women's experience, POC experience in general by POC. But like to see those are huge funded, you know what I mean? Like huge movies, you know, big musicals and stuff. That stuff is amazing to go see, but it is so important to also put money toward really, you know, young people, independent people, broke people. There's just really special stuff that comes out of that. And there's a lot of really great projects this year. I'm like fully freaked out. It's awesome. I'm Molly Kirschenbaum, and if you would like to hear a little more about my production, Hot, please listen to the following conversation. The inspiration came from, honestly, I think it really came from being alone for such a long time and desperately, you know, I have this song in it called Put Down Your Phone and Look at Me, and I have another song called Famous, and I found myself, you know, like I'm probably most comfortable on stage, even though it's something that makes me really nervous when I don't, you know, do it for a while, but I feel able to be such a confident side of myself on stage. And this last 2 years was like just mental spiral zone for like months and months and months. And I also, you know, being alone so much, I was also experiencing a lot of gender dysphoria. I had a lot of time to just like think about stuff, which I think, you know, any of us who are lucky enough to be healthy over the last 2 years, like, had a lot of time to sit and think. And I found myself thinking a lot about gender. I found myself missing being on stage. Um, and also like regressing to my childhood self and thinking about growing up, and growing up a girl, quote unquote, which never felt right. Um, and I just sort of started writing songs about a lot of that, and it sort of grew into, you know, again, it wasn't like I was like, this is the story I want to tell, here's what it is beat by beat. It was more like songs started coming out of that, little stories, little bits of stuff where I was like, I haven't done anything about this yet, I want to put this together, this feels relevant. And I think I had to write it because um, I think I realized a really big part of my life has been obviously performing, and that's been very empowering. But I also realized how much I've used performance as a mask, to sort of disguise, you know, grieving, depression, gender dysphoria, transness. Like I've spent a lot of time performing my way out of those things. And this show, I think, is a lot about that, and a lot to me about how there's a lot of huge similarities, between, for me, like between the period of my life where I was really dealing with grief. I'm always dealing with grief. And also like grieving my former self and myself that my dad knew when I was a child, how I'm never going to be anyone's, you know, daughter exactly. I'm not that person. And yeah, it was just sort of a huge kind of, oh shit, like I this is synthesizing a lot of weird things from my life that never felt connected and suddenly really do when I sit down and think about it. So I really had to, I think, get that out. And I had to get that out in a way that was funny, because it felt like something that was so, in some moments, so horribly sad, that again, I was like, I can't, like, I don't want to just sit up. I feel like I was like, if I make something sad, I'm just going to cry in front of people. And that's like not, comfortable to me. And I have a whole song about that. So yeah, I was like, I want to make something funny, and kind of true to my voice about all those things. The arc, it's not a narrative piece exactly, so it's a little hard to explain the exact arc, but the arc of the show, what it really is me exploring this sort of character of beautiful woman that I realized I'd been playing my whole life, and like perfect ideal woman. That was sort of like what I was always striving to be, meaning beautiful, sexually appealing to men, not sad about existential, grief and fears in the world. Very chill, like a chill, cool girl. And so I think this story is me unpacking that kind of from beginning. Sort of the first lens I started thinking about it through was dating, and how for a long time I didn't come out to the people I was dating or hooking up with as trans, because I was very afraid to do that, even though I told my friends. But I was like, people won't be attracted to me if they know that I'm non-binary. That'll be something they think is unattractive. So kind of unpacking that, and then that leading me into unpacking, okay, where did I get that from? Like sort of thinking about like my parents and my family upbringing, and then into, what is that need that we all have to be perfect for other people and be attractive for other people? Why do we care so much about that? And how is that really counterproductive? But also, how is that really fun when you succeed at it and you convince people you're fine and perfect? Like, amazing feeling, So, yeah, sort of unpacking that kind of through text and songs, is the sort of format of the production. It's me and then my wonderful music producer, Adam Shell. We've been working together on the album for like 7 months almost at this point, which is awesome. And so yeah, so both of us on stage. He plays keys and runs a lot of the sound, and I, perform these songs. We do the songs together, and it's sort of threaded together with, I guess, what I would probably classify as something akin to stand-up, or storytelling. I think something that I really care about the audience getting out of this play, and this is something I say really cautiously, but that the I feel like I've been pressured a lot in the last few years of my life since coming out to make really poignant trans work. I feel like that's a lot of what people want to see from trans artists, is like, tell me about how hard it is to be trans, and give me something so I like empathize or sympathize with the trans experience. And actually, on the flip side, I feel like what I actually want people to get from this show is that a lot of the feelings are actually just really universally human, like fearing people finding out that you're not as good as you are, hiding who you are, being unsure if your type of beauty is socially relevant or acceptable or good enough. Um, and sort of this idea of like everybody's wearing a mask, no matter what your situation is. And the trans experience is very unique, and I don't ever want to take away from that, because there are aspects of that, like gender dysphoria, and specifically if you're a trans person of color, like the violence that trans people of color experience is not, comparable, really to anything else. But there are a lot of aspects of that that are universally human, that I think point to, the issue is not elevating trans voices. The issue is dismantling our idea of gender as a culture, and saying, why are we all performing these things? There are plenty of cisgender people out there, cisgender men that are afraid of showing femininity, and cisgender women that are afraid of showing masculinity. It's all this whole idea of gender and this whole idea of perfection, and of there being a right way to be and a socially sought after way to be, that is the myth. That's the thing to dismantle, because once you start picking apart all those sort of capitalist, racist, sexist, gendered expectations of people, this is like kind of corny town, but like you just have a lot of souls and bodies. And I think that, there's a lot of ways in which cisgender people are not free within this kind of gendered structure. And it's not just trans and non-binary people that are fighting to get out of that. It's not helping any of us. And I think having sort of these expectations, and we grow up as children thinking that just, a lot of us just being ourselves is never going to be good enough. And what are the beauty products we need to buy to get better? And what emotions do we need to not show other people, so we can get better and be better. People should come to my play because it's fun. I'm going to say, I think something I really value in performance is fun. It's not a sob story. There's one kind of emotional song in it that I love, but I think there's something really fun about emotional stuff too. And yeah, it's a fun piece that I think really pokes a lot of fun at the idea of gender and what the hell are we all doing living in this weird fake world we've made for ourselves. None of that's real. And we don't have to subscribe to that. And we can totally reimagine that for ourselves, and wear drag and dance around and shake our tits while doing it. Ironically, of course. I mean, the number one thing, and it is really simple, the number one thing I'm always looking for is to make myself laugh. I think that if I'm able to laugh, that means it's working. I think a lot of this show is about me laughing at myself, but not in like a self-deprecating way, in a like self-enjoying way. And I think if I can have a few moments during the show where I can zoom out and be like, oh my God, Molly, what the hell are you doing? I've totally succeeded. And then I think the other thing that I'm really hoping for is to feel like I made something enjoyable about my experience. Something that hopefully people can see very specific parts of me, that make them see very specific parts of themselves, in a way that is, celebratory and hopefully self-questioning, and make people, I'm hoping to really not take myself too seriously, and encourage others to do the same. I think I feel really, really grateful that this is where I can put my time and energy right now. And I think that anyone who is able to make art right now is very lucky. And there's like just never been a more important time, like in my lifetime, certainly, than, this horrible pandemic situation has just been such total hell, continues to be total hell. And, my show is live streamed at this point. I'm not doing it in person anymore because of the Delta variant. And I really think that that's very tough on artists, like virtual art. It's really exciting and it's also really hard. So, you know, whether it's my show or it's any of the other shows that are happening, just like, I just want to tell people to really, really go invest in them, you know, see the virtual shows, go in person if you feel safe to do so, but really, you know, see the live streams. I think that this is for a lot of people the first opportunity they've had to do something in years. So I think everyone's like sort of manically excited about it. And I hope that the audience feels that way, because I would certainly describe my approach as pure mania. And I think that that's a good thing. I'm Molly Kirschenbaum. I hope you enjoyed this little conversation about my show, Hot. And if you would like to come see it, it'll be streaming from the Hollywood Fringe website.